stranger which flattereth with her words. She talking good talk. Remember, I went there because first thing he told Adam, because you hearken, you listen to that woman, and did what was wrong in my eyes, in the eyes of the Most High. That's why the punishment came upon him so roughly, so sternly. Verse 17, which forsaketh the guide of her youth, and forgetteth the covenant of her power. That's what you look at an Israelite woman that knows, and then she goes astray. She heard this truth, but she goes astray and want to deal with, you know, something contrary to the covenant of the Most High, the contract he gave. You hear what it said to her? Just a moment.
Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Huh? Okay. Right there. I'm gonna do my class.
Well, I got some drinks here.
Okay, just go ahead and bring them in. Salakia. So, look at Proverbs 2:17. It says, which forsaketh the guide of her youth, and forgetteth the covenant of her power. So, this is only to who? The covenant I just showed you was given to Israel. So it's talking about the wicked Israelite woman. And she could be a stranger because you might not know her. You might not know her. And you meet her, she's a stranger. And she flatters with her words and blinking of her eyes, trying to bring you into her covenant. A covenant or agreement with her. It says, which forsaketh the guide of her youth. What's the guide of her youth? These laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High. And forgetteth the covenant of her power. See? But her house inclineth unto death, and her paths unto the dead. It's serious, right? Because it can cause death. But you don't see it until you start to see the Most High bring things to fruition, where you start to see it more and more and more, and then you're going to realize, oh, wow. Don't think he don't see you, he knows. He's looking at you. So you got to turn aside from it. It takes, sometimes it might take more strength. You got to fast and pray on it. If that's one of the things that really you're battling with, you have to fast and pray on it. Get rid of them evil spirits that's in you. Got to turn aside from evil. If I get Psalms 125 and 5. For as such as turn aside unto their crooked ways, the Most High shall lead them forth with the workers of iniquity, but peace shall be upon Israel. So, but that's his chosen, his elect. But see, but as for such as turn aside unto their crooked ways and follow what they have set up for you to follow, the Most High shall lead them forth with the workers of iniquity. He's going to bring you forth with the workers of iniquity. That's who's going to be your guide. You're going to be right there with the wicked. And a lot of our people are right there with the wicked. They just believe that they're going to lead them in the right way. Of wickedness. That's the only way they can lead you. In the way of wickedness. That's why it says, as for such as turn aside unto their crooked ways, the Most High shall lead them forth with the workers of iniquity. When you go into wickedness, then that's when you know he's going to bring these wicked people around you. That's when you know you all caught up in whatever they say. And you go to hell any way you want to. Just don't try and take me with you. Anyone that's really seriously trying to make it to the kingdom will live forever and have peace. But 1 Timothy 5 and 15. For some are already turned aside after Satan. See? Some of our people are already turned aside after Satan. And they perpetrating the fraud like they really righteous. You don't really know because you have to know enough in the spirit of the Most High to recognize it. How you going to recognize it if you don't know enough of our story? You got to know our story. And the certain things that happen, that's why you look at 2 Corinthians 11 and 13. Say, for such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Mashiach. Deceitful workers, false apostles, false prophets, false teachers. And no marvel, for Satan himself, here it is, Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light, like he's righteous. So I say, you want to follow him, he's going to give you to him. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. See? He's going to get them. How you doing? What's up? I'm all right. What's going on?
Is it pastor?
Huh?
Is it minister?
Yeah, but I'm doing a class right now.
Oh, okay.
All right. What's on your mind?
I hear you. You have the church for sale? I hear you have for sale the church.
Selling the church? No.
So we're ready to service, yes. It's good stuff here.
So it's very important. We got to turn aside from evil because, like it says in 1 Timothy 5:15. For some are already turned aside after Satan. They already turned aside after Satan. They wicked. They don't bow down to him. And remember, he appeared as an angel of light. And they unfit for the kingdom. That's why you got to really look at this sincerely. That's why you have to be in this book. You got to be in this word. This word, you got to be concentrating on the word. It's very, very important. Luke 9:62. Luke 9:62. And the Mashiach Yahushua said unto him, no man, having put his hand to the plow, and looking back, you want to go back out in the world, is fit for the kingdom of the Most High. See, once you start, you got to understand it. If the Most High thought enough of you to allow you to hear and to understand this truth, and you go back out there into the world, any way, shape, or form, and your actions you start to be worldly, I might say, because, you know, this is what he's saying. No man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of the Most High. You got to work toward this. It's a work, I mean, it's something that you have to do. Continue to work and try and do your best to make it to the kingdom. All right. Look at, you want to shut that door? 2 Peter 2 and 20. For if after they have escaped pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Most High and Savior, Mashiach Yahushua. They're again entangled therein. Go back out there thinking, oh, it's going to be all right. Most High understand my heart, as they always say. And the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, you know it. They're again entangled therein, going back out, going backwards, and overcome. The latter end is worse with them than the beginning. It's going to be worse for you than if you didn't even know the truth. You got to understand, the Most High is the one that do the calling, and He allowed Mashiach to do the choosing, and He thought enough of us to bring us out of this gross darkness that everybody else is in. And you see it if you talk to people, you know that they're in gross darkness. They just finished celebrating Christmas. Talking about that's the birth of Mashiach Yahushua. Ain't nobody talking about Mashiach Yahushua or Jesus Christ, anybody. They're just trying to get whatever they're going to get, this, that, and the third, and it's just become just a bunch of folly. He wasn't born December 25th. Has nothing to do with Him. And they go back out into that world, a lot of them have been in the truth, now they celebrating Christmas and Easter and all the things that they knew and learned was pagan. Or they out there partying and that's the Sabbath. They out there doing whatever they're doing. Not honoring Him, not resting on the Sabbath, not giving the Most High. This is His day. Not our day, this is His day. Once again, 2 Peter 2:20. For if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Most High and of Savior Mashiach Yahushua, they are again entangled therein and overcome, the latter end is worse with them than the beginning. See? It's going to be worse for you than the beginning. Where it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness. Then after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. But it is happening to them, according to the true proverb, the dog is turned to his own vomit again. And the soul, the nasty, filthy McNasty, I might say, pig, that was washed, you look at you as I call you a pig, a hog. He said, I washed you up, I cleaned you up. To her wallowing in the mud, wallowing in the slop. So I cleaned you up, but now you wallowing in the slop. Wallowing in the mud. That's how He look at you. That's why He said it's going to be worse for you. The latter end is worse with them than the beginning. And when you come in, the Most High dip you in the fiery furnace of affliction. You go through a lot of changes to prove you. And a lot of people are going to want to deal with that. Oh, but you're going to deal with it if you're going to deal with making it to the kingdom. All of us have to deal with that. Go to Matthew the 12th chapter. And look at verse 43. Because see, when you be called into this truth, you be cleaned up. That's why Mashiach Yahushua, before you get that, He told you this in John 15:3. John 15:3. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. And He spoke only the words of the Most High. Because He is the word of the Most High. The Most High have a voice, He's the word of the Most High, and He come in the volume of the book. He didn't just come in the flesh. He's right there in Genesis and all the rest of the books. Now that you clean up through the word of the Most High from all that we read and all that we're going to read, from now to eternity. This is what He said in Matthew 12:43. When the unclean spirit, see, you got these unclean spirits out of you, is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. Then he said, I will return into my house from whence I came out. Remember? You done went back out in the world, doing things in the world, when the Most High brought you in to clean you up. That unclean spirit had to leave to get up out of there. Looking for somewhere to go. Then he said, I will return into my house. How can he return? That house is your body. So I will return back to the body that I came out of. Why? From whence I came out. And when he come, he findeth it empty, swept and garnished. All the truth that you have learned, you ain't studied, so you got to be taught all over again. That's why it says worse than you say, you call you a dog eating up his own vomit. And you like a pig that he washed and bringing you into the truth, bringing you into the knowledge of understanding, learning the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High, that you can be righteous in his eyes, and here you go out there being wicked, back out in the world. That's why he say he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished. Say, then go of he, and take it with himself. 7, which is the number of completion, other spirits more wicked than himself. Hear this? 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. I mean, he's right there with who? Israelites. In whose kingdom? In the Romans, in the Roman Empire. So-called Italian Caucasians were the rulers of the world at this time. And Israel was following under their wicked regimes. Straight up. It was all about, just like it is here, trying to maintain some kind of status quo. Oh no, we gotta be, they want to be somebody in hell. We still was in the condition of hell. Mashak Abishai called it. He called it, man. Look at Matthew 11th chapter. And we're going to start at verse 11. I'll start at verse 12. It's saying, from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven, which we are as the children of Israel, suffereth violence. You hear that? He said, the kingdom of heaven, which the children of Israel are, suffereth violence. Listen to what he say next. And the violent take it by force. Who's the violent? The Romans he's talking about. The so-called Italian Caucasian, which was a superpower of earth, they took us down by force. And they really became violent when they took us down in 70 AD. And some of us had to run into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery and slaughter. That's why we gotta work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. Go to Deuteronomy 32. Deuteronomy 32. We'll read 5. They have corrupted themselves. Their spot is not the spot of his children. They are a perverse and crooked generation. See? Do ye thus requite the Most High, O foolish people, and unwise? Is not he thy father that hath brought thee? Hath he not made thee and established thee? And what Israel do? I mean, he's been long suffering with us. You look at all the things that he allows us to get away with and not bring that wrath. Verse 26, he said, I said, I will scatter them in the corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. And he did this through the nations. When you read Psalms, the 83rd chapter, he said, were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy? Hear what he said, were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries, our enemies, should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, our hand is hot, and the Most High have not done all this. For they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. That's sad. And that's how the Most High looking at us, man. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. He's screaming at us. So, oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. It's not going to be nice. Look at Ezra, the 9th chapter. Go to the book of Ezra, the 9th chapter. and the 10th verse.